Right then, so we're going to configure the MIDI connections here for a MIDI keyboard controller, the MPC One. In this case, I think any MPC will be the same, and a Korg Minilogue XD, again, any synthesizer you have. We're using the Midi 5-pin DIN outputs here and sending it to the Midi 5-pin DIN input on the MPC. We're then coming out of the 5-pin Midi and going into the Korg 5-pin DIN Midi. I'm using the USB output stroke input on the keyboard to connect to an iPad with a piano learning app on. So as it stands, this is a MIDI, but it's USB. We're not really interested in that. This is the 5-pin DIN Midi out from the keyboard controller. Midi out. This is the Midi in to the MPC, and this is the Midi out, again using only the 5-pin DIN connections. Midi in, I will stop doing that in a minute. Midi, lost it. Midi in to the synthesizer. So that's the configuration. The audio is simply a left and right output from the synthesizer. A left and a right to the synthesizer, from the synthesizer, audio output from the synthesizer to the audio inputs of the Akai. I think it's actually on this side, but and so the audio out will come out from the Akai and it will go into your chosen preamplifier or mixer or whatever it is you have. In my case, it's my I'm using my Focusrite as I've configured it as a mixer because I'm not plugging it into a computer anymore. But the good thing is about the Focusrite Scarlett, it can be configured completely as a standalone mixer. So it really is quite cool. So these are the connections. Just write that up. So that's basically audio out. This is audio in over here. What's the colour? This should be a red. This is basically audio in over here, and then there's your audio out going into your audio in on your mixer. I don't think I need to label it everything. So yeah, that's pretty much the configuration you need. So we should now move over to some of the settings that you'll need in the MPC and the synthesizer. Apologise, I haven't got a tripod, so I'll try and be as still as possible. But let's start with the settings here. The MIDI and sync settings. MPC up the top there, global control and track enabled. The MPC pads, global control track and enabled. You could enable everything. I don't think it'll make much difference. Output ports, MPC, sync and track. MIDI control output mode MPC. Now all of the MPC labels are related to the 5-pin MIDI DIN, 5-pin DIN MIDI that we're using. Not receiving any MIDI, but I am sending the MIDI clock out through the MIDI port. So that's the settings for this one. Now quickly over on the Minilogue, what you need to do is go into your edit mode, go to global edit, I think select the fourth button along here, and press it again. Oh yes, the MIDI route, USB and MIDI, that's fine. MIDI channel 1 is fine. MIDI clock source auto, and I turn this off because if this is on, every time you press play, record, or overdub, or play on the MPC, it will trigger the sequencer. And you may not want that. I certainly don't, because every time I play something back, whatever's in the sequencer here is triggered, and I can't really hear what I've just recorded. So I think it's quite important to turn that off. So turn that off and polychain off. That's about it for the settings on the Minilogue. So back over to the MPC, we need to add a new track. We need to add a MIDI track, and we need to make sure that we've got the MIDI output port set to MPC, because then that will send the MIDI signals out to enable us to control the Minilogue or whatever synthesizer we've got connected to it. I keep the monitor on merge here, or change it to merge. What you should have now is you should have MIDI signals, and those MIDI signals should be triggering the patch or the program in your Minilogue or your synthesizer, whichever you've got. Now we're not going to hear anything until we add another track. We need to now add an audio track, and I set the monitor to merge, and there we go. We should get sound now. You should have some sound. Do play around with the monitor settings if you haven't got sound. So the beauty of this is now we can now actually record some MIDI in. So let's just try and record a couple of key strikes in and see what happens. So if we go to record on the MPC and play start, the metronome should count us in, and we should just play something in. Right, so not the best 4-bar loop, but it's just for demonstration purposes. So what we have now is we have recorded MIDI signals that are now triggering the synthesizer, the patch on the synthesizer, and obviously if I change the patch, so you can see now that's, so when I'm happy with the patch and I'm happy with how the loop is arranged, of course I can go into the arrangement window and we can play around with this, and we can do all sorts of funky stuff with the MIDI. When I'm happy with that, in order to record it, I will just need to go down to my audio track and audio merge, yes, everything, yep, set up. So now effectively what I can do is go to record and play start. So now you can see I've actually recorded audio here, and if I solo this piece, should be just listening to the audio on that track and nothing else. In fact, I could go back up to the MIDI track and I could completely erase this arrangement. I could completely delete the track if I wanted to. So if I delete the track here, you can see I am left with the audio playing on my audio track. And of course, yeah, there's the audio in the arrangement window. You can mess around with that. Do whatever you like, and of course it's now not triggering anything on the synth. This is just playing back the audio that I've recorded from the synth, which was triggered by the MIDI. So hopefully that was of some help to you.